As students came into this program last fall, it started out kind of as a blank canvas, and throughout this school year so far, we've made a tremendous amount of progress in developing the facilities for the program and the programming itself. Early on in the year, when we were working with the broiler chickens and preparing for the FFA broiler competition, students were really learning the basics of animal production. Different concepts about feed rations and care of animals, about measuring and tracking the growth of the chickens and comparing that growth to industry standards. And that project followed right through to a competition with FFA, where they took the best 5 birds in their flock down to Fowlerville, and those birds were then judged and competed against birds from FFA chapters all over the state of Michigan.
I expected it to be more of like being in the class, like usually most classes are, but we actually do most of everything outside, and I think that's because of the animals that we have. So like when we first get here, we're out here in the barn doing chores, and so we don't go back in the class until everything's fed and pens are clean and stuff like that.
From the broiler chicken project, we evolved to the livestock that we have in the barn here, and students had a hands-on involvement in developing the facilities here, clearing the space in the barn to build the pens and the actual construction of the pens. We have 2 ewes here, that one of which lambed in February, so the students were able to experience that new life, I guess you might say, on the farm here. We have a feeder steer, a Holstein steer, that came into the facility this last winter at about 600 pounds, and students have fed and taken care of this steer, who's at about 800 pounds now. And most recently, we've added 4 Holstein dairy calves that the students are bottle feeding and getting started, and that will soon transition to grain and hay.
We've done a lot of stuff. I love working with the animals every day. I just have horses at home, so I like working with the other livestock, and we've done stuff with like intestinal tracts and different breeding things that were really cool that would help me going into vet school.
Early on in the school year, we also started fencing about 17 acres here on the Magnus Center. Of that 17 acres, about 6 acres are tillable, and those 6 acres will be incorporated into a cover crop, row crop, and rotational grazing. The remaining 10 acres will be rotational grazing pasture space, where you have a pasture system incorporated with trees.
Well, I've learned a lot of things about the industry of agricultural science, and I guess like when I came in, I was just working on a farm, baling hay, and that's pretty much all I knew. And now I know like all like the background behind it, and like got a lot of hands-on experience, which helped a lot.
So last fall, we wrote a grant here at the RSD for workforce development in land-based industries. The basic goal of the grant is to provide opportunities for students to learn the skills they need to be employable and work in the land-based industries such as agriculture. The grant will put nearly $100,000 into the Ag Science program, and will be specific to equipment and training for students. Equipment such as a four-wheel drive tractor with cab and loader. That tractor will be equipped with GPS guidance and auto steer technology, a no-till drill that we can incorporate into our pasture and crop production.
It gives you a lot of experience. There's a lot of kids in this class that have never done anything with animals, and I think it teaches kids a lot of responsibility, because like I said, before you do any classwork, it's chores first, and it's a lot more fun because Mr. Wood's here and he teaches you why you do things, when you do it. And I've been able to, in this class, I do a lot more things on my own, independence kind of thing.
Coming up in the near future, May 14th, we're going to host Project Red here at the Magnus Center. And Project Red stands for Rural Education Day. We will host local 5th grade students here at the Magnus Center, and we'll have local agricultural industries represented throughout the campus. And when the students arrive, by class, they'll rotate around different stations and they'll learn about the different aspects of agriculture and agriculture in our society. So as we move forward, we're looking for this program to be, inclusive to all students that have an interest in agriculture, and whether that's agriculture production or agribusiness or ag communications. The opportunities for employment in the agricultural industry are enormous. Agriculture is the second largest industry in the state, and you don't necessarily have to be raising animals or planting plants to be involved in agriculture.
So yeah, it's been really interesting. We all year we've been working to make this place good for education in the future years. But we're kind of the first year of this program, so we got to set up everything. And we started off with just this green barn and that white barn, and Mr. Wood has done a good job in making everything possible for us to get all these gates and all the fencing material and all of our animals. And now look, we got a whole fence, we got all these materials. I mean, we got lots of hands-on experience, and this is going to be a great program for future farmers.